The following program is paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Fresno on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Now, live in studio, your host, local real estate expert, Craig Barton.
Good morning, Central Valley. I am your host, Craig Barton, and welcome to the Real Estate Radio Network, the most important hour of radio each week, here on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Real Estate Radio is a show dedicated to bringing some rational thought to the crazy world that we live in and helping you to rebuild the Central Valley's housing and credit markets. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted advice. And that's exactly what you are going to hear every Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on 105.9 The FM KMJ. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, good morning, Timmer.
Good morning. How are you?
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Early Sunday morning.
Had your coffee?
2 of them.
2. You're locked, loaded, and ready to go.
That's right. That's right.
Attaboy. How about this crazy weather? We thought we were going to get a bunch of rain this week, and it's turned out to really be kind of non-eventful.
Yeah, I was just talking to someone else about that. It's just enough to dirty your car. So.
Not that we're complaining, right?
No.
We need the water.
More of it.
That other voice in the studio today, Timmer O'Hare from Valleywide Homes.
Glad to be here.
Mortgage originator extraordinaire.
Thank you.
You do loans, huh?
I do loans. That's what I do. I try and do them well.
Yeah, you know what? Tim has a big bag of money, and he's always had a big bag of money, especially since the first time he came into the studio here. He said he's going to lend it out. So there's going to be – what's your address, Tim?
My address? Yeah.
Just kidding. Well, the Real Estate Radio Network gives Timmer and I the opportunity to reach so many people efficiently for one full while. Boy, I'm really jacking this up this morning, aren't I?
You're fine.
1 full hour each and every week. Our goal with the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate markets so we can help bring you back home.
Sorry, new to this.
There's an echo in here.
I'm not Michelle. I apologize.
You know, there's a delay on your mic, huh?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Good deal. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from today's shows. We're doing multiple shows today. I forgot to tell you, Timmer. We've got like 4 lined up, back to back.
Excellent.
Attaboy. Well, did you know that there is another big leap for housing prices, both in the state of California as well as nationally? Also, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, they're going to shrink their footprint with a new company.
Oh.
Interesting.
We're going to talk about that,
Yeah,
right?
We're going to call it Susie Mac or Susie May or something like that. And renters still, after all these years, want to be homeowners. Yeah. And foreclosed homeowners seek a second chance. We're also going to take some listener questions, so make sure you stay with us. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that Timmer and I share with you on our show this morning, it all starts with one call. Call us anytime, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. We'd love to get your input as well as your questions. You can also go to our website and check out our resources online at reofresnohomes.com. Again, that's reofresnohomes.com. You can also listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords, Friend Valleywide on Facebook, or use press 4 keywords, KMJ, call Valleywide. Now, that was stereo right there. To get connected to us anytime, we'd love to hear from you. Not only just during the show, but during the week as well.
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's take a look.
Not everybody can listen at 7 to 8 or call in at 7 to 8, but they can call in after the fact.
Exactly.
So we'd love to hear from you.
We take calls all the time.
Yeah.
Today's hot property. Let's take a look at today's hot property. Today's hot properties are brought to you by Perfect Inspections. Whether your property is residential, multifamily, or commercial, use press 4 keywords, Perfect Home Inspections. Or call Jerry Schooley today for your perfect home inspection at 352-6941. Again, that's 352-6941. Well, today's hot property is a HUD home. Property address is 1054 Garland Avenue in Clovis, 93612, located in Fresno County, obviously. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,508-square-foot home built in 1993. Property was appraised at $158,000. It is considered insured, so it's eligible for owner-occupant financing. You can save your client if you are an agent or if you're a consumer. You can save yourself roughly somewhere in the ballpark of about $450. Investors need not apply. Investors or second home will not be eligible until roughly April 6th of 2013.
But do we know the cross streets on that property by any chance?
You know what? I don't. Not off the top of my head, and I did not. Obviously, my map here is a little too far out, but.
Yes, I'm looking at the picture right now. It looks like a lovely home, actually.
Yeah, it's a very cool property. If you'd like more information about today's hot property, please give us a call anytime, 800-979-3958, or use press 4 keywords, KMJ, hot property, and we'll send you more information about this hot property right to your phone. Look for more hot properties each week right here on the Real Estate Radio Network. Well, as we've said in the past, we're kind of bouncing along. We keep hovering, Timmer, just slightly over 1,000 active listings in Fresno County.
Still need more.
Yeah. How much longer can we keep this up? I don't know if the listing fairy is going to come down and all of a sudden bestow
just
our wish.
Property after property?
Yeah, and triple our listings, because really we truly need somewhere in excess of about 5 months worth of listing or active inventory to take all the pressure off of buyers. We were talking before we came into the studio this morning, and if you're a buyer's agent in today's market, as well as keep in mind, if you're a buyer, it's a lot of hard work.
A lot of hard work, some stress, obviously.
A lot of stress.
Yeah, you think you find your dream home and come to find out your offer may or may not be accepted. And
we say that not to be negative.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of today's market, because if you're going to get out there, they say, the old adage is, if something worth having is worth working for. Well,
right.
In today's market, when you sit down and have that first conversation with a first-time home buyer and you say, you might, to set the right expectation, you might submit 8 offers on a property before you actually get whittled down to the last 2, or maybe until you actually get an offer accepted. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. The agents do a lot of work. The buyers are obviously doing a lot of work, and we all know buying a home is emotional.
Yeah.
And that's got to be on the upwards and downwards. Kids involved in the situation with their families.
Where you want your kids to go to school.
Yeah.
Your kids are attached to or want to be attached to a property, maybe attached to the property that you're leaving. There's a lot of different variables that play into it.
Yeah.
Did you also know that in February that we closed 580 units? Now that is the second highest number of units sold. Third highest number of units sold in the last 6 months. Kind of interesting. I thought that February would be slightly lower in terms of total units sold.
Typically it is.
Yeah, typically than January, but actually January is still a little bit lower than what we saw as far as February sales are concerned.
And then December was what?
December was 537 units.
Which I would have thought would have been more.
Higher. Yeah, exactly. And did you also know that average sales price within Fresno County, $180,894?
Nice.
Yeah, that's looking up. It's a scary number in a way, because, again, it always makes me think back to what things were doing in 2003, 4, 5, and 6, because we don't want to see housing prices increase that fast.
Yeah.
Yep. Did you know that there's another big leap in home prices? Speaking of home prices nationally, another home price index is showing, and this was from Realtor Magazine, shows that housing prices nationally are surging. CoreLogic's Home Price Index shows that home prices nationwide in January rose 9.7% year over year, posting their largest increase since April of 2006.
That's impressive.
That is real impressive, because when you think that chunk, that April 2006 is roughly 7 years from where we're at. That's huge.
It does not seem like it was that long ago to me.
No, it doesn't seem like it's that long ago. It seems like Y2K was just yesterday. I remember when we thought everything
was
prepared. You're still prepared. Well, you know what you can do is you can consider yourself prepared for the zombie apocalypse now, right? There's a.
I don't know.
You don't know. You don't want to go that far.
Yeah.
This was the 11th consecutive month over month increases in existing home sales, according to CoreLogic. Now, the states that saw the biggest year-over-year rises in home prices in January were, this is really interesting, Arizona at 20.1%. That's huge.
Yeah, I think that attributes a lot to the loss that they took, too.
Well, they were. Some of the softest markets, you're going to see some of the greatest increases.
Yeah. Well, they're I wouldn't say they're coming back to where they were, but they're coming back to more of a norm, I guess.
Or getting back or a lot of what they lost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nevada,
17.4%. Idaho, 14.9%. That surprises me. When I think of Idaho, that has not been, I'm not from Idaho, nor do I know anyone in Idaho, but it seems like all the commentary that we've heard in the news, I haven't heard Idaho being mentioned.
Yeah.
So here's one other thing. Is the increase as far as home prices in Idaho attributable to what they lost, or is it more so attributable to all the oil and gas fracking that they're doing up in Idaho and Wyoming?
Yeah.
And just so happens in Coeur d'Alene or wherever the larger metropolitan, Boise, the larger metropolitan areas, that's where people are going to stay, or they're moving there for the simple fact that that's the best major metropolitan center, and then they drive out to the fields where they're doing all the fracking. Because a good buddy of mine, Casey, he's actually a fracker. He goes up there and he tests, sits out there and tests those sites for how many ever hours on time.
And I'd be curious to see if that number, is that from people moving in from other states too, I'm assuming, right? From the workload? Yeah.
It would make, I would believe. I mean, Casey's from California, and he transitions back and forth, once every 30 days or something like that. California, 14.1%, and it's interesting. What we've seen here in Fresno County really is right on pace as far as California is concerned, because what we've seen here is roughly between 12 and 13% year over year between 2000
and I'm sure the Bay Area is carrying that number up. As an average.
Yep.
Yeah.
And according to CoreLogic, the only states not seeing year-over-year price increases were Delaware at negative 0.1% and Illinois.
Isn't that where our vice president and president are both from?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a side note. Sorry.
Did you also know that Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are having a child? Oh, hey. Yeah, this is a birth notice. The Federal Housing and Finance Agency, or the FHFA, say that fast 4 times in a row, announced Monday that mortgage giants Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are expecting. Yeah, exactly. They're going to create a new joint company for securitizing home loans. So this is going to be the future of mortgage securitization. The move is viewed as a step towards shrinking the government's role in the mortgage market. Now, I don't necessarily understand that comment, because
isn't Fannie and Freddie not government? They're quasi-government.
Well, they're on conservatorship right at the moment, so the government oversees them and has bailed them out. So
month in, month out.
They're wanting to slowly, month in and month out. They're slowly wanting to shrink their, I guess, sphere of influence with Fannie and Freddie. But that's the whole thing. I think that sounds funny to me, because FHA here in Fresno County, as an example, is attributable provides roughly 35% of the financing of the loans required to secure properties.
Sure.
Cash is number 2 at roughly 33%. And then conventional financing is in the high 20s. So, conventional financing, it's a government-sponsored enterprise. It's, you're there, you're involved in roughly 2/3 of the mortgage market as it is. Cash is the balance, and there's a small percentage of other types of financing. Well, the GSEs, which started receiving taxpayer bailout in 2008, helped finance about 2/3 of the U.S. mortgages. The overarching goal is to create something of value that could either be sold or used by policymakers as a foundational element of the mortgage market in the future. The new company will separate chief executive and board, and Congress will have to decide how the securitization, I say Congress and Wall Street. It doesn't say Wall Street here, but you know that.
Well, they have to be involved.
Yeah, exactly. Decide.
How else are they going to get sold?
Yeah. That goes without saying, huh?
Yeah. I have a bag of money, but my bag's
your bag ain't that big.
That's not really my bag.
And did you know that renters still want to be homeowners, Timmer?
Imagine that.
Yeah, over half of all current renters, including 60% of those who rent single-family homes. And this is the interesting piece. Single-family homes, but not an apartment, quote unquote. And 44% who rent an apartment plan on becoming homeowners in the next 5 years.
And where was this taken from? What was this?
This was a national survey that was done by ORC International. So that was who actually performed the survey for Premier Property Management.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
I personally would think that the renters in an apartment complex would be more apt to move into a home than current renters in single-family residence.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Well, you also have to.
But then again, maybe they don't have the maintenance, on a home. So
think
maybe
of it,
that's
those folks that may have been displaced because of what's happened over the last 6 years. Typically wanted to move into a single-family residence to kind of maintain some normalcy,
sure,
as far as their living situation was concerned. They also found that it was not the inability to get a mortgage being claimed as a top reason for renters not becoming homeowners. For the 43% of respondents that did not participate or didn't anticipate becoming homeowners, 40% said they like being renters. That's interesting. While 39% said they don't want to be homeowners.
Wow.
The inability, so the getting a mortgage, was cited by only 29% of respondents.
Yeah, and the inability is not that difficult.
Yeah, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that Timmer and myself share with you on our show, pick up the phone, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Call us anytime, not just during the show. It could be during the show, after the show, during the week. But remember this number, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. You can also go to our website. Search for your new home. You can also listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network by going to Fresnohomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use press 4 keywords, friend Valleywide on Facebook, or use press 4 keywords, KMJ, call Valleywide. To call into the show anytime. Tim and I would love to hear from you. Well, coming up, foreclosed homeowners get a second chance, and are banks easing up on mortgage standards? We're going to talk to Timmer about that. Make sure you stay with us. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate, here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valleywide help. Valleywide Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free, 800-979-3958, and put the seasoned professionals at Valleywide Homes to work for you. Valleywide Homes, NMLS number 342062, 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer, at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
Did you know that all the tickets you can buy on different websites come from the same place? Did you know that you can buy every ticket you need to any event in the country, the whole country, from Pete's Seats right here in Fresno? If that's the case, you need to call Pete's Seats. Any ticket, anytime. Sports, concerts, theater. Hey, there's seats, and then there's Pete's Seats. Premium tickets for all events, local, national, worldwide. Don't settle for a regular seat when you can get a really good Pete's Seat. Online at peteseats.net or simply 294-SEAT. That's 294-7328.
How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097, and take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Hey, Timmer, did I mention it's great having you here this morning?
You did. Yeah. I appreciate it, though.
Want to make sure that you get that hug there, buddy.
I need a hug now and again.
Attaboy. Talk to your girlfriend, would you please?
Sure.
All right. Foreclosed homeowners, get a second chance. Well, I should surely hope so.
They should.
They deserve a chance. Former homeowners who once walked away from their homes in a move called strategic default are back in the market and eager to buy a home again. Nearly 80% of strategic defaulters say they want to buy a home again within the next 12 months, according to a survey that was taken by YouWalkAway.com, a website that helps educate borrowers in the legal pitfalls of strategic default. Timmer, let's talk about real quick.
Yeah.
What is strategic default?
From an ethical standpoint or from a legal standpoint?
Ethical, moral, legal. Yeah.
Strategic default would basically mean that you know that you're probably very upside down on your property.
Yeah. I'm with you.
You no longer want to make that stroke of $3,500 a month when you're looking around the neighborhood and that same house is selling
now
for.
I've checked the first two boxes.
Yeah, the house around the corner that you owe $400 on is now only worth $250. So you
ouch.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm exaggerating.
I've checked box number 3. This is not looking good.
So you and the family decide that you're now you're going to walk away from the property. It's going to go to a foreclosure status.
Yeah.
It will affect your credit. Depending on the new loan type that you're going to try and get, could be a minimum of 3 years. Mm-hmm. Could be up to 7 years, depending on if you have an FHA loan or if you have a conventional loan.
Wow. So just to clarify, so with an FHA loan, if you do walk away. Now, and let's clarify for our listeners, whether you walk away or it's a situation that you actually, unfortunately, couldn't afford it, and you lost that property. Mm-hmm. It's how many years for FHA?
3 years.
And then, and that's, FHA financing is the most lenient type of financing, allowing the least amount of down payment in today's mortgage market.
Yes, and a little bit more credit friendly than the conventional lending as well.
I like the way you put that, credit friendly.
Yeah, they're very happy, warm people at FHA. They want to get people into their homes.
Exactly. And then for conventional financing, which is those loans that are underwritten to the guidelines of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, who are expecting, as we mentioned in our segment earlier,
their new child.
And how many? Susie Lou May. Yeah. I can't wait to see what that looks like as far as when you put those two GSEs together.
There'll be a government acronym, and it'll be fun for it, I'm sure.
Great. Can't wait. This is a brave new world that we live in as far as real estate and mortgage lending is concerned, isn't it?
Changes daily.
I tell you what, that's very true. And so for conventional financing, how many years for foreclosure with conventional financing?
7 years.
Gotcha.
Now remember, it's not the date that you walked away, though.
Yeah.
It is the date that is reporting. In other words, let's say you walked away from your house today. That still has to go through the legal proceedings of a foreclosure.
Yeah, it could be like we talked about a couple weeks ago. It could be a zombie foreclosure.
It could be.
It just never goes away.
Well, I have a property in my neighborhood I've investigated a little bit on, and it's very interesting. The property's been vacant for, I would say, at least 4 years, if not 5 years. Mm-hmm. And it has not went through foreclosure. It is just sitting there. I've checked the public records on the property, and it's still sitting there. Now what has happened, this is a whole different topic, but there's now squatters on the property.
Oh, my gosh.
So whoever was in that property before, because it hasn't went through the legal proceedings of a foreclosure, if they wanted to get FHA financing, they still couldn't do it because the time frame
still has not. It hasn't. The clock hasn't begun to tick because the property hasn't gone back to whoever was the lien holder on the property.
Correct.
Yeah.
And sometimes depending on the lender, if you are looking into a strategic foreclosure, it might be a possibility, and you would know about this obviously, but contacting the lender and say, I'm willing to keep the property clear of vandalism because I'd like to stay in it up until the point, when you actually do the foreclosure and then it comes in with the sheriff to, take over the property. Yeah. That might be a better way of doing it because at least you're staying in a place that's obviously you've been there for a while, but it's still going through the proceedings, and then you set yourself up for something in the future.
And you do bring up a good point, because that could lead, there are other options to foreclosure, and it could be what's called deed in lieu of foreclosure, which does help to keep you somewhat in control and take somewhat of the mystery out of the process, because you communicate directly with the lien holder to determine what your date for leaving the property is going to be. You're, in essence, going to be sending the keys back to the...
Just to clarify, so what you're doing is you're signing the deed over to the lender.
Yep.
Instead of them actually going through the legal procedures of foreclosure.
And you still have to make sure that it does get recorded, because, again, just what you mentioned there, I did speak with a consumer within the last year or so, and she was wanting to get pre-approved for a mortgage, and it just so happened she, quote-unquote, thought she did a deed in lieu of foreclosure. They sent her the paperwork, she signed it, and sent it back, and it was never recorded.
Oh.
So you really do, regardless of which route you take, you have to make sure that it follows through.
Right.
That the lender takes the property back, or files the deed of trust, the grant deed and the deed of, or the trustee's deed, in the deed in lieu, or the deed in lieu, because you have to confirm that there's a date that things stopped.
And obviously documentation on your end would help for the future if you're trying to seek the financing. Stay in correspondence with whoever your lender is that you're possibly going to do this with. And the other thing is if let's say you decide to quit making your payments, which that's an option.
Sure.
My recommendation would be save some of that money for your next down payment on your next house, or take care of some of the debt you may have.
Yeah, don't go out and blow it.
Yeah, don't act like you just got a raise.
Yeah.
It's I'm talking conservatively as far as how to handle your money, and I'm not trying to sway anybody to change their ways of living, but it's just a recommendation.
Yeah, it's another way to look at things. It's a responsible way to look at things.
Yeah.
Well, did you also know that the number of eligible homeowners who have a foreclosure on their record will reach 1.5 million homeowners by the first quarter of 2014, according to Moody Analytics? That is so interesting.
That's got to be an all-time high.
Yeah. Crazy. That's a big number. And it's somewhat discouraging, but then again, though, the flip side of the coin is, if we've got 1.4 million that'll become eligible, when you think of the total number of properties that are actually upside down here nationally, it was estimated recently that there's still 10.5 million properties
that are
still considered negative equity here nationally. And that's a huge number.
Wow. Which means 10 point, what we were just talking about.
Well,
10.7 potential strategic.
And the good news is that if home prices continue to rise nationally the way they're rising right at the moment, that 10.5 million is going to shrink rather quickly, depending upon what they owe or how far upside down they are.
Right.
Yeah. Also, quick question. Are banks easing up on current mortgage standards? Well, there is currently what some folks might say a very tight lending environment. And currently, they promise that there's going to be improvements this year as the drivers of tough credit standards begin to reverse.
I would like to see those standards.
Yeah.
Well, just what are they proposing?
Yeah.
That's a very vague.
It is a very vague statement. Yep.
Now, we were talking about this on the break. I think they have eased up.
Yeah. Well, they
on the FHA
here,
standards, definitely.
Right. They claim here that tight underwriting conditions have been one of the biggest obstacles that stand in the way to our current housing recovery.
Sure.
Right.
Well, borrowers that go through the process of purchasing a home, I'm sure are not prepared for what's going to take place.
You know not what you're getting into, huh?
and I always try and prepare my buyers that
this could hurt.
We're going to be asking you questions, and sometimes the documentation that we ask for is going to open up other questions.
Yeah.
And it's my job, and all loan officers and all realtors, we're all in the same boat. We're trying to get you into a home. I mean, that's our goal.
Yeah.
But just be prepared that, it's not that we enjoy asking you for this documentation. It's requirements.
It's part of the process.
It's part of the process.
Right.
Exactly.
So, Tim, why do you need this? So, Tim, why do you need this? So, Tim, why do you need this?
It's like my kids when they were 3 and 4. Why,
Dad? Why, Dad?
Quit asking why and just do what I say.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's because Daddy
I'm not.
said. I think it's important. I think you really hit it on the head there, is setting the right expectation with your client and making sure that they understand that everything that we ask for will be required in the process. If, as a consumer, you require or need further explanation, not a big deal. Just understand that everything that we ask for will be something that is necessary and required in order to extend credit on your behalf. Nobody wants to ask for something they don't need.
And I will bring up one thing as far as the loosening of the credit is concerned. That is the one nice thing about FHA is that I learned this a long time ago. FHA is like a story. The borrower's telling you a story of where they started. That's so good. Yeah. Where you started and where you want to be. And, if you had some credit issues, that occurs. I mean, it happens. Here's the deal. Just write a letter as to what happened.
Yeah. Paint the picture.
Paint the picture pretty. I'm not an artist, but I can certainly work with some clay now and again.
Oh, I've seen some of the art that you've done, Tim, and it's pretty good. I don't mean like signing signatures. I mean art. Okay. Painting a picture. And also, how to get help with your down payment currently. So with conventional financing, there currently aren't any ways out there that I know of that conventional financing allows for in terms of
down payment assistance.
Right. But the most common type of financing that you're able to piggyback down payment assistance with is what?
It's called CHDAP.
Okay, so FHA financing.
FHA is your first loan. Mm-hmm. You will have a subordinate second.
So meaning that it piggybacks on top of that
Correct.
First mortgage.
So you have a first and a second mortgage simultaneously. Mm-hmm. And there's different programs that are available, but I'm referring to the one that's probably the most popular is CHDAP, California Home Buyers Down Payment Assistance Program. They will cover. Well, let me back up. You have to come in with either $1,000 or 1% of the purchase price, whichever's more.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if it's a $150,000 home, 1% would be $1,500 or $1,000, which is more, $1,500. So that's what you would have to come up with. So that's your down payment. Now you're going to have, in addition to that, there's closing costs. But as far as the down payment is concerned, CHDAP's covering most of it. So your typical down payment, is 3.5% of the purchase price, and take back into that example $150,000 purchase, you're looking a little over, I don't have my calculator, but a little over $4,500 down payment. So you got to come up with $1,500. So they're going to cover roughly $3,000 or a little bit more than that.
Wow! And on that second, you have to be a first-time home buyer.
Have to be a first-time home buyer, meaning that you have not purchased a home within the last 3 years.
Gotta love it.
Yeah,
that opens it up to quite a few people.
Well, and you do have, there are some income criteria involved in it.
And how strict is that?
That is strict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But meaning in terms of how lenient it is, do you find that the amount of income, so...
Oh, I see what you're saying. As far as like the median income in the area, it's not strict.
Gotcha.
What I'm saying is there is no room for deviation. In other words, if the dollar amount says
have to make below this.
If you make $50,000 and it's less than that, whoops, sorry about that, turn myself off. If you're making $50,000 and $50,001 and the program says you can only go up to $50,000, then that's what it is.
There's no deviation.
Yeah,
sure.
You can't, say I'll work 1 hour less next week to.
Do you recall off the top of your head what the income limit is in Fresno County?
Gosh, no, I really don't.
Yeah.
Guesstimating, I want to say for a single individual, I want to say it's close to $46,000. Yeah. I mean,
so you can make quite a bit of money in order to qualify for that 3%. And that 3%, does it have to be paid back?
It does have to be paid back,
okay,
but not until the end of the 30 years. Or if you refinance the home or you sell the home.
So if you sell it or you refinance or at the end of the 30-year term, you have to pay it back.
Yeah.
And who's going to stay in their home 30 years?
It's not very likely.
Yeah.
And the payments right now, I think the interest rate on that loan is at 4%.
Really?
So, you're borrowing maybe $4,500 to $50,000. Your payment's about $20 a month, $25 if you wanted to pay that, you could.
Gotcha.
Most people don't.
Gotcha. Pretty amazing. So there are opportunities for folks that are out there that need a little assistance. In other words,
there are some city programs too that are available. I would suggest if you are looking in the outer areas, Fresno, not so much, but some of the smaller towns offer some programs like that. I know Sanger had a program. Unfortunately, I just called in on it about a week ago. There's no funds in the program right
Gotcha.
now. So if you do check, either with myself, your loan officer, or you can even call the city itself and check with them to see if they have any financing.
So if a buyer has questions and wants to call you, what's your phone number?
349-0789.
349-0789. Perfect.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, again, if you have any real estate or mortgage-related questions or questions regarding the information that Tim and I share with you, it all starts with one call. You can either call Tim at 349-0789 if it's mortgage-related, or you can call me here on the show anytime, not just today on the show, anytime. 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. You can also go to our website and search for your new home. Check out our resources. Listen to past shows from the Real Estate Radio Network at REOFresnoHomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 keywords, Friend Valley Wide on Facebook, or use Press 4 keywords, KMJ, Call Valley Wide to call into the show, or call us anytime. We'd love to hear from you. Well, how big a threat are sinkholes? Sinkholes have been in the news lately, kids, and rising student loan debt, it appears, will hamper the housing market recovery. You're listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
All it takes is one call to the professionals at Valleywide Homes, and you'll start building wealth in real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing investment property, let the experts at Valleywide Homes help. There's never been a better time to get into the real estate market. Visit our website at REOFresnoHomes.com or call toll-free 800-979-3958. That's 800-979-3958. And put the seasoned professionals of Valleywide Homes to work for you. Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer, at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use Press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
Did you know that all the tickets you can buy on different websites come from the same place? Did you know that you can buy every ticket you need to any event in the country, the whole country, from Pete's Seats right here in Fresno? If that's the case, you need to call Pete's Seats. Any ticket, anytime. Sports, concerts, theater. Hey, there's seats, and then there's Pete's Seats. Premium tickets for all events, local, national, worldwide. Don't settle for a regular seat when you can get a really good Pete's Seat. Online at peteseats.net or simply 294-SEAT. That's 294-7328.
How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097, and take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Well, Tim, before this week, you may not have wanted to know, but now you do. How big a threat are sinkholes?
They appear to be big.
Yeah, I tell you what, sinkholes are a lot more common than many homeowners realize, particularly in Florida man. A Florida man is presumed dead after a large sinkhole engulfed his entire bedroom last week. That's like, what was the gal, Alice in Wonderland? Or did she fall down the rabbit hole?
She fell down the rabbit hole, I believe.
Gotcha, man. This was, I tell you what, it was
sad.
Oh my gosh. It's so terrible.
And I was watching the news on that. They really can't get close to it because they're afraid that it's going to sink even further.
And those folks, nobody's allowed to go back into the house. They barred anyone from getting near, and then they went and demolished the house during the week. Yeah. CoreLogic analysts say that Florida appears to be most at risk for sinkholes, with roughly 15,000 verified sinkholes. Wow. Pasco County, along the west coast of Florida, has about 6,000 of those sinkholes. That's amazing.
I wonder how big that county is. That seems like what is that? Every other property has a sinkhole?
If you said 6,000, let's say 6,000 in Fresno County, that would be a lot of sinkholes.
Yeah. That's scary.
And it's, not only did it affect the family that lived in that house, it also affected the families adjacent to that property as well, because those folks were not allowed to go back in.
And this is a thought, or how does that work with your insurance? If you have homeowners insurance, is that covered? Is it not covered? Is that going to be something that's going to be added, like an earthquake type?
I would guess it's indicative of the area, and I say indicative of the area. If there is 6,000, as an example, in that particular county, there's either a provision for, because it's prevalent, just like here in California. If you're closer to a fault, you may have to, or may be required to carry or maintain earthquake insurance. Mm-hmm. I would have to guess there's a correlation there, because the insurance companies are not just going to allow consumers to live there where there's a higher incidence of sinkholes. It's just like, you build a home back in the Midwest and you live in, Kansas City, or you live near Kansas City or somewhere where they call, what do they call that? South of Kansas City there, they call it
Dorothy
tornado.
Runway?
Yeah, Dorothy Runway, is that what you said? Earthquake, or no, a Tornado Alley.
Tornado Alley, yeah.
And there's going to be a provision in there that says, Did you also know that rising student loan debt hampers the housing market recovery? Outstanding student loan debt nationwide stands at nearly $1 trillion owned. And that massive debt amount is making it increasingly difficult for a large number of home buyers, particularly those that are young college students, to qualify for a mortgage loan or mortgage when you're trying to buy a home. According to a new report from the New York Federal Reserve, about 17% of 40 million student loan borrowers are delinquent on their payments by 3 or more months. 17%.
Because they can't find jobs.
Well, 10% is 10% of 40 million is going to be 4 million. 17% is going to be
almost 8 million.
Almost 8 million. That's a lot of student loan. Yeah.
That's a high number.
Yeah, and it is unfortunate. And I think you brought up a really good point, because those folks are either unemployed or potentially underemployed, meaning that they were able to secure employment, but it wasn't in the profession that they went to school for. I saw something on CBS News recently, and there was talking about a young kid that was following his dream. He had gone to school, graduated, gone to grad school, and was in New York and following his dream. But he said at some point the money's going to run out, and he is probably going to have to move back home.
Yeah.
And never get a job, at least right at the moment, never get a job in the profession that he chose.
That's a trend that's moving up, I think.
Yeah.
Significantly.
Yeah.
It's the other thing that comes into play with the student loans, too, is that, that's your monthly payments are calculated into your debt ratio. So the more you borrow, obviously, the more you owe, which now leads to the less you can buy for a home.
Sure.
So it's all relevant.
Better marry good, right? And hope she has no student loans.
Yeah.
You know what? Also, this other headline: Freddie Mac posts record-breaking profit. That just doesn't seem right. I don't know. Mortgage giant Freddie Mac reported an $11 billion annual profit.
Is that the money that they printed to get the profit?
Exactly. Did they pad this? Was this an accounting trick? Come on, somebody fess up. Yeah, it's largest ever gain. This all marks Freddie Mac's first profitable year since 2006.
Interesting.
Yeah, just 1 year ago, Freddie Mac reported a loss of only $5.3 billion.
Pay themselves back a little bit.
I guess so, yeah. As home prices stabilize across the country and mortgage delinquencies continue to fall, Freddie Mac, along with fellow mortgage giant Fannie Mae, they're
Mom and Dad
expecting, is seeing a turn of fortune following years of taxpayers' bailouts. I don't know about you, but if my business failed,
you don't get to go to the taxpayer.
I'm not getting any bailout.
No.
Yeah. Between 2008 and 2011, Freddie Mac lost more than $90 billion, which coincided with obviously falling home prices and a surge in homeowners defaulting on their mortgages. Oh, yeah. Freddie Mac will have to pay a hefty part of that profit back to the U.S. Treasury. Mm-hmm. Now it seems a little more right, a little more okay. For example, in March, it'll make a $5.8 billion dividend payment to the U.S. Treasury.
Excellent.
Yeah. So now we're only, how many hundreds of $1 billion in debt? Yeah.
I don't know what the monthly check is that they write.
Well, to date, just to give you a little perspective, Freddie Mac has received about $71.3 billion from the Treasury in aid. Now, starting this year, the Treasury will take all of Freddie's as well as all of Fannie Mae's profits so that taxpayers get paid back a whole lot quicker.
Sounds like they're taking their ball and they're going home.
Yeah. Exactly. And, obviously, if we're seeing an increase in home prices over the next 5 years, what are going to be the 7 best markets? Let's play a little game with this. 7 best markets to buy over the next 7 years. Number 1.
Las Vegas.
Number 1, Medford, Oregon.
Nice place.
Yeah, annualized expected growth from the third quarter of 2012 to the third quarter of 2017, 9.7%. Number 2, Santa Fe, New Mexico. I thought people just went there to retire.
Excuse me. Does this bring into play employment ratios, or is it just strictly?
Just strictly appreciation.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Number 3, Panama City. Lynn Haven, Panama City Beach, Florida. Expected 9.1. Sebastian, Vero Beach, Florida. Expected growth, that's number 4. Expected growth 8.9%. Now, number 5, Carson City, Nevada. Expected growth 8.5%. Number 6, this one I found interesting because it is an area, Santa Barbara and Santa Maria Goleta, California, where you see housing prices are pretty high.
High already.
It's it's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Expected growth in Santa Barbara, 8.4%. Now, Reno, Sparks, Nevada, number 7. Expected growth, 8.1%.
No state tax there, correct?
Yes.
Might be
somewhat of a contributing factor.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. All I know is I want to invest in one of those markets. Maybe Santa Barbara. It's by the beach, buddy. Yeah.
I'm willing to go.
Yeah, attaboy. Again, if you have any, our new Valleywide mortgage, Valleywide office, Valleywide homes. Yeah.
I can manage that.
You can manage that. Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage related questions or questions regarding the information that Timmer and myself share with you on our show, give us a call anytime. 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. Or you can go to our website. Check out our resources online. Take a look at all of our listings or any of the listings in Fresno County's or Fresno's multiple listing service. You can search for your new home at REO, FresnoHomes.com. To friend us on Facebook and follow us, just use press 4 keywords, friend Valleywide on Facebook, or use press 4 keywords, KMJ, call Valleywide. To call into the show anytime. Not just during the show, Tim, but after the show, during the week, anytime. Give us a call.
24/7.
Yep, coming up. When we return, we're going to take some listener questions. Make sure you stay with us. You are listening to the Real Estate Radio Network, helping to redefine real estate here on 105.9, the FM KMJ.
This program is brought to you by the Real Estate Radio Network. Visit realestateradio.us for more info. That's realestateradio.us.
Mortgage interest rates are at historic lows, and there's never been a more affordable time to buy real estate. Whether you're looking for your first home, moving up, or your next income-producing property, let the mortgage professionals at Valleywide help. Valleywide Homes has been helping homeowners with their mortgage needs since 1997. When it comes to the Valley's real estate, we know our way around the neighborhood. Call toll-free 800-979-3958 and put the seasoned professionals at Valleywide Homes to work for you. Valleywide Homes, NMLS number 342062. 235-952, California Department of Real Estate License 0122-8460.
Have you ever thought about going solar? It's never been easier to go solar than with a SunPower lease. You'll start saving money the very first day. Arise Solar has a team of energy consultants ready to help you determine if going solar is right for you. Start taking control of your energy costs. Contact Arise Solar, your local SunPower Elite dealer at 449-8989. That's Arise Solar at 449-8989. Or use press 4 keywords, Arise Solar.
Did you know that all the tickets you can buy on different websites come from the same place? Did you know that you can buy every ticket you need to any event in the country, the whole country, from Pete's Seats right here in Fresno? If that's the case, you need to call Pete's Seats. Any ticket, anytime. Sports, concerts, theater. Hey, there's seats, and then there's Pete's Seats. Premium tickets for all events, local, national, worldwide. Don't settle for a regular seat when you can get a really good Pete's Seat. Online at peteseats.net or simply 294-SEAT. That's 294-7328.
How much should I be saving? When can I retire? What can I do to ensure that my estate will be left in the hands of my family once I'm gone? Is my hard-earned money safe in today's markets?
With all the uncertainty in today's world, all of us at the Island Group know it is our job to provide answers to these questions. Walk with us, the Island Group at UBS Financial Services. Call me, Kate Island, at 559-248-4097. That's 559-248-4097, and take the first step in protecting your financial future.
All rights reserved. UBS Financial Services, Inc. is a subsidiary of UBS AG. Member SIPC.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Network with local expert Craig Barton. Now, here's Craig.
Tim, you know, I love this part of the show when we get to take some listener questions, and we don't really put a face to a name because it's kind of hard to do on radio. But we sure put a...
We'll make them all pretty.
We'll make them all... Just pretty them up, huh?
Yeah.
Well, Gene from Fresno asks, we are considering selling our home, and we think we have some equity. We would like to take advantage of the low housing prices that we haven't seen this low in years, and the extremely low mortgage rates. What do we do, and where do we start? Well, first thing that we need to figure out is exactly where you are at from an equity standpoint. So we usually request from a consumer a most recent mortgage billing statement, and if they don't want to give that to us because this is a little too preliminary for them, then we just ask them, so what is the balance on your first mortgage?
Balance, sure.
Exactly. Do you have a second mortgage or any junior liens? Nope. Okay, that's good. And then what we'll do is we'll get their address and we'll pull what's called comparables. I know that you do that as well as far as on the mortgage side of things.
Yeah.
Because you want to get somewhat of an idea, hey, are we in the ballpark as far as where we need to be for evaluation on this property?
And what special features does that house have?
Yeah. And very good point. You also want to make sure that you confirm the information that's reported to public record, because I might pull your address up and it says that it's 2,090 square feet, 4-bedroom, 3-bath. And that's all it says. And I actually talked with the consumer, and the consumer says, yes, it's 2,090 square feet, but it's only 3-bedroom and 2-bath, and we have a pool.
Right.
So there's some variables there that we need to make sure.
Not all the information is going to be 100% accurate.
Yeah. Unfortunately, with public record, and it's not necessarily their fault because they record and report what is given to them.
Sure.
Sometimes the builder may record it in error, and they had a bonus option in a room that, could have
been an office.
Could have been an office or a room, or it could have been whatever. And unfortunately, it doesn't get recorded appropriately.
Yeah.
So that helps to give us a feel for, hey, where you're at.
Right.
What you may net as far as your equity is concerned.
And do you want to use all that money for a down payment, or do you want to hold on to it?
Yeah, or pay off a debt, or whatever it might be.
Kids' college, who knows? Yeah.
Exactly. So the first point, or the most important thing you want to do, is determine exactly where you're at as far as your equity is concerned. And that'll help to give you, if you're upside down, and then you're upside down.
And here's kind of a question that you as a realtor would know very well, is that with there's such a high demand, how quickly do you actually want to sell? Because when you put it on the market, chances are if that thing's in any kind of decent shape, it's going to go.
And a decent area, good school district, good amenities. Yeah, I tell you what, you do want to make sure that you're prepared for multiple offers. If you price it right and multiple offers during the first
I'm saying
weekend.
for Gene, as far as where he wants to move, is he looking to move into a rental property till he finds his dream home, or is it, what I mean? So that needs to be taken into consideration, too, because that property probably will go pretty quickly.
His current exit strategy and the acquisition strategy for the new property. Sure. Yeah, totally. Hope that helps, Gene. Also, Gabriel from Fresno. My wife and I are in escrow and had our loan locked. And unfortunately, our lock had to be extended due to the delay on part of the seller. We feel that the lender should be lender should be responsible for the cost to extend. Which the lender says we are responsible for. In other words, Gabriel and his wife, which is approximately about $645. Should we make the lender or the seller pay for it? Is that an option?
Well, I think everything's an option, but
everything's negotiable in a transaction, isn't it?
But he said extended due to the delay on the seller's part. My guess would be I would talk to my realtor and have my realtor talk to their realtor, and if we can't get them to fully commit to the to covering the extension, maybe it's a 50-50 split or something. But we're hearing his side of the story, which I would agree is probably accurate. But I will say this for certain: the lender's not going to cover it for the most part.
Yeah. In other words, the cost is what the cost is as far as the cost of
the lender's pretty much going to stick to their guns, because what they have done is they've reserved that money. They've set that money aside. They've locked it, so they're paying an interest rate on that.
Sure.
So
making sure they have enough money as well.
Correct. So when the time does come to close that loan, I mean, the lender is responsible for paying interest on the money that they are borrowing, even though it hasn't went out. You know what I mean?
$645 seems like it might be a lot of money, but I guess it depends upon what your loan amount is, right?
Sure,
because it's all relative as far as every lender's going to have.
And he didn't put in there, and a question might be is how long is that extension good for? Is that a 7-day, a 10-day, a 15-day?
A very good point.
So maybe he could get a lesser extension and pay a lesser price.
And depending upon when the seller's willing or when the seller's able to close, because as a buyer being able to close, unfortunately, how's it feel to be willing but not able to? Because everybody's got to be able to close at that point in time.
Right.
And it'd also be interesting to determine whether the seller is a bank, or whether it's, as an example, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac,
or an individual,
whether it's HUD, or whether it's an individual, because it's much easier in today's market to negotiate with an individual than it is with one of those entities, because oftentimes you're on your own, especially and here's a real important point for folks to make sure that you grasp on, is it is a seller's market. So a seller's market means who has the majority of all the leverage in the market.
They have the upper hand.
They have the upper hand. So it's much easier to say, I'm sorry, no, I won't. And not that they want to start over in the transaction, but the seller, if it being a bank, a credit union, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, HUD, the federal government, whoever it is, they're going to do the very best to get the highest net on this property.
Absolutely.
And minimize their exposure or their expenses, because in most instances, they're already taking a huge loss on it in the first place.
Yeah. And are you willing to lose a house over $645?
And that, Timmer, is the best. See, that's why I think we've been separated at birth. That's the best way to put it, because when it comes right down to it, a good agent will qualify it exactly that way.
Yeah.
Are you willing to lose a house over $645? Again, if you have any real estate or mortgage related questions or questions regarding the information that you hear on our show, it all starts with one call. Again, call us anytime, 800-979-3958. Again, that's 800-979-3958. You can also check out our resources online at REO-FresnoHomes.com. To friend us on Facebook, use Press 4 keywords, Friend Valleywide on Facebook, or use Press 4 keywords, KMJ, call Valleywide to call into the show anytime. Well, Tim O'Hare, Valleywide Homes. Tim, 349-0789. Again, that's 349-0789.
Thank you for letting me be here. I appreciate it.
Tim's a good guy, but also he's a great resource when it comes time for mortgage financing. Again, our goal, also, by the way, thank you, Johnny. Great job, bud. Our goal with the Real Estate Radio Network is to get you, our listeners, the timely and accurate truth about your local real estate market, so we can help bring you back home. Don't forget to tune into the Real Estate Radio Network next Sunday, right here, 7 a.m. on 105.9, the FM KMJ. Local news, local talk. Make it a great day, Central Valley, and we will see you next week.
The preceding program was paid for by the Real Estate Radio Network.